This is my favorite plain soft serve ice cream I've ever had. It comes from Cruz Farm Dairy here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Hashtag not an ad, just a fan. I went out to the actual Cruz farm to find out why this ice cream tastes so good to me. And in the process of doing so, I ended up learning some pretty interesting things I want to tell you about how the dairy industry has changed in the last couple generations. Turns out the Cruz Farm ice cream tastes different because it is old-fashioned. Not just the recipe, but the milk itself is old-fashioned. So here we are out on the farm east of Knoxville. It's 6 a.m., which is when you milk dairy cows so that you can do it again exactly 12 hours later in the evening before you've lost all your daylight. Productive cows need to be relieved of the enormous pressure in their mammary glands as regularly as possible, or else they hurt and then their production shuts down. These cows really want to be milked right now, and who could say no to that face?
There's a couple of reasons that we milk Jerseys. They're really pretty cows. My name is Manjeet Bhatti. I'm the farm and plant manager at Cruz Farm. This is our nicest, sweetest cow. So if you want to get some cow love, she's very sweet. She's also our best cow.
So Manjeet fell into the Cruz Farm business when he married Earl Cruz's daughter, Colleen, there. These are their nephews working the farm this morning. In just a few years, Manjeet and Colleen have expanded Cruz into a beloved local institution here in Knoxville, chiefly by means of adorable staff uniforms and ice cream. Ice cream that tastes different because it comes from a different kind of cow. The American dairy industry has historically focused on two breeds of cows. There's the Jersey cows, which are the small blonde gals that you see on Cruz Farm. And then there's the Holstein cows, which are the big black and white ones that you think of when you think of like dairy cows in a cartoon or something like that. Holstein kind of won out over the Jersey cow, been historically preferred by dairy farmers in the US because it's bigger and arguably more profitable than the Jersey. Also, the Holstein creates a lower fat milk, which is potentially good in a market like the United States where lower fat or reduced fat dairy products have historically been popular. Anyway, something like 90% of US dairy cows are Holsteins now, which makes Jersey cows and Jersey milk somewhat rare and old-fashioned.
And their milk is well suited to dairy products that feature butterfat, which ice cream is one of those products.
Jersey milk also has a higher protein content, which is also good for ice cream. People often add powdered casein to their ice cream mix to make it smoother on the tongue. Jersey milk has higher casein to begin with, plus all that glorious fat, which makes Jersey milk slightly yellow instead of pure white. American consumers generally prefer pure white milk, which is another reason why Holsteins won out over Jerseys. In recent years, there has been a resurgence of interest in Jersey cows as people like Manjeet really appreciate that generous 5% fat content. It's more familiar to the cultural context he got from his Indian parents.
The most common form of milk drunk in India is water buffalo milk. Water buffalo milk is 10% butterfat.
Ooh, imagine what water buffalo ice cream must be like. Speaking of creamy, I just loved this creamy tortellini dish we ate the other day, courtesy of HelloFresh, sponsor of this video. This summer, get farm-to-table quality with every HelloFresh box. Seasonal ingredients are picked at peak ripeness and travel from the farm to your doorstep in less than 7 days. All these recipes look fresh and summery, but I need something quick because I'm tired because I got up on the dairy farm so early, and this recipe has literally 4 steps. All HelloFresh recipes are pretty quick, but look for the fast and fresh options for dinners ready in 15 minutes or less. Spend more time outside this summer, maybe. Spend less time grocery shopping or figuring out how to use the leftover mushroom stock. There is none left over because HelloFresh recipes are pre-portioned and there's hardly any waste. It's so smart to just throw this under the broiler for a minute and there you have this awesome crispy top in a flash. Go to HelloFresh.com and use code AdamRagusea16 at checkout. Get yourself 16 free meals plus free shipping. 16 free meals with my link and code in the description. Thank you, HelloFresh. Anyway, this amazing soft serve ice cream from Cruz Farm Dairy in Knoxville, Tennessee. One reason it tastes so good is that it's made with this relatively rare Jersey milk, which has a high fat and high protein content. But Manjeet at the farm figures there's more reasons why their ice cream tastes so different to me.
Of course, what you feed a cow does affect how her milk will taste.
Indeed, the particular fatty acid composition I enjoy in this ice cream might result from the particular forage the cows eat. This is a rye field they're grazing. Dairy cattle need very energy-dense forage to both feed themselves and to make milk.
Forages that would just cause a beef cow to just get obese and be unproductive, probably infertile.
And then there's the dry food that the cows eat in the barn.
This here is called baleage. It's hay that has been baled before it's fully dry, which you can tell that and then you wrap it in a cover.
That allows for some anaerobic fermentation inside the bale, which lowers the pH and preserves the feed. It also makes the feed more nutritious, but crucially, they don't chop the hay into little bits before fermenting it, as you would with silage.
Unchopped forage induces a different kind of fermentation in a rumen than chopped forage. So particle size has a pretty pronounced effect on milk composition, which is bizarre. Long-stemmed forage particles generally produce milk with more butterfat.
So that's good, but at Cruz Farm, they base their cow's diet on fresh green forage from the fields, and that makes the milk taste different.
I mean, your average American dairy cow is not eating any green forage.
Yeah, I've read estimates as high as 95% of U.S. dairy cattle do not have access to fresh pasture. They are raised in much more confined, controlled environments. They usually don't get to live the kind of life you see them living on Cruz Farm with fresh pasture. Most cattle you pass by on the road are being raised for beef. The dairy gals are usually indoors. But at Cruz Farm, they get lots of outside time, and green forage results in milk with proportionally higher omega-3 fat content, which is probably good for us, and it's probably better for the cows.
Everybody in the dairy industry knows that happy cows give more milk. I kind of think that probably happy cows give tastier milk, too. You stress cows out by doing things that would stress anybody out, like yelling at them or pushing them. You know, for one thing, for example, cows generally walk a lot slower than humans walk. And you could be the kind of person that's like really type A and wants to get started milking, and you can get cows to walk at human speed. You can make them afraid of you if you want to, but cows will be happier if they live in a lower stress environment.
No idea if treating cows nicer actually results in nicer tasting milk, but I'd like for that to be true, so let's just go ahead and go with it. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? We're going to end up being nice to cows for no particular benefit to us? Yeah, it's an end unto itself, right? Another big thing that makes this Cruz Farm ice cream taste so different and better to me is that Cruz Farm milk is not homogenized. Back in my parents' day, you used to have to take all milk and shake it really hard before you drank it. Otherwise, the really giant fat globules in milk will float to the top and they'll just be there in a little oil slick. You have to shake it to get it emulsified again. Homogenization is this step that almost all the producers take nowadays, where you bash up those big fat globules down into tiny small ones that stay emulsified in the milk. You're
shooting the milk under a very high pressure pump in very small droplets across an airspace onto a plate where it then drips down. And that, if you were trying to oxidize milk, that's probably how you would do it, right?
Yeah, oxidation is a problem with homogenization because it happens when you increase the surface area of the fat, which you do when you are bashing the fat up into a million tiny little particles. Tons of surface area to oxidize now. And oxidization of the fat results in flavors that are just kind of off or not fresh. And the industry has lots of ways of minimizing oxidization, but at Cruz Farm, they just don't even homogenize it to begin with.
Like if you're a producer and you have a soft serve machine or you're an ice cream shop owner or whatever, or a Chinese buffet, and you'll go to like Cisco and you'll say, hey, I need a jug of soft serve mix. The soft serve mix that they bring you is designed to be able to stay in that ice cream machine for up to a week. So like you can serve ice cream and then you can put it in what's called standby mode, which is like refrigerated but not frozen, and then you come in the next morning and then you push a button and it goes back into freezer mode or ice cream mode. And since our ice cream is so delicate.
He means their fat globules in their milk are so huge that they tend to clump together and separate out to form butter if you agitate the milk too much, so you can't churn it too much.
It cannot sit in an ice cream machine overnight, so at all of our stores we have to empty each machine every night, clean it thoroughly, and then refill it the next morning with fresh mix actually. So that's a challenge that we have, but then it also makes really yummy ice cream.
Yeah, it may be that your average restaurant soft serve is just old, right? It's been sitting in the machine for a week, whereas when you're making soft serve with this fresh, unhomogenized milk, you kind of have no choice but to make a fresh batch every day. And speaking of old school processing, here's where they bottle the soft serve ice cream mix. This is the same very old pasteurization equipment from Earl Cruz's day. Manjeet makes the ice cream in here now, and it's batch processing, which is old school. You have to heat the milk to a certain temperature for a certain time in order to kill most of the bad bacteria that you worry about in milk. And most milk today goes through a continuous process pasteurizer, where milk is constantly squirted across a sequence of heat exchange plates, heats it up to a very precise target temperature, incredibly precise, and it allows you to use the absolute minimum amount of heat required to kill germs. Today's typical fresh supermarket milk tastes pretty fresh because of that gentle pasteurization. Compare that to the taste of UHT milk, ultra high temperature pasteurization. That stuff is shelf stable, but it tastes cooked. Most of today's milk is really minimally heat processed, and that's good. But there is a cooked or caramelized note in the Cruz Farm ice cream that tastes different and really good to me, and I think I understand why now. It's because they heat the mix in these batch pasteurizers, old school, basically just big pots with stirring spoons in the bottom. This is much less precise than a modern continuous pasteurizer.
There's no way to actually just get this mix to be 165 for 15 seconds when you're slowly heating it up, slowly cooling it down. So it's a lot more similar to if you were to like make an ice cream mix at your house.
Some of the milk inevitably heats up beyond 165 degrees Fahrenheit, and maybe that's where you get those caramelized notes that I'm tasting. Or it's also the case that Manjeet has to pasteurize the milk for a much longer time to compensate for that lack of precision, so maybe that's where you're getting those cooked notes. But they're there, and I really, really like them. It tastes delicious and different and old-fashioned because it is. Plus, their added sugar content is around 12%, which is on the low side, and I really appreciate that. Less sweet, more fat. Yum. Cruz Farm Dairy, Knoxville, Tennessee. Hashtag not an ad. So that's why my favorite local soft serve tastes the way it does. I went and I asked them, why do some of your local favorite treats taste so good? Why don't you go and ask them? Let us know about it down there.